Father Peeber asked me today to offer a little bit of reflection on Our Lady of Perpetual Help. I should begin simply by admitting the truth, and the truth is, to be honest with you, I really don't want to be here. I spent the last several days in Cape May, New Jersey on vacation, and when I was getting on the 316 New Jersey Transit bus last night to come here, the truth is, when I got into the city and I got up to Broad and Olney, I just wanted to get on the other side and go back. But I didn't want to disappoint Father Peeber either. And of course, as you saw, we were a little bit confused coming in. All of this confusion, to be honest with you, kind of feeds in to the beginning of this little meditation, because to be quite honest with you, I am a person of routine, and little things tend to throw me off very, very quickly. And the last several days when I was in Cape May, one of the things I noticed is that I established a routine. Every day I would go up to the church, which is in the center of the town on the mall, Our Lady Star of the Sea, which is administered by the wonderful Oblates of St. Francis de Sales, who have made such a great contribution to the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And I would go to the Mass at 11. After the Mass, I would wander the mall, and I would always stop in the Atlantic bookstore. It's just a small bookstore on the mall. And I would routinely go to the same 3 spots in the bookstore. I started with religion, then I would go over to poetry, and then I ended up in psychology and self-help. You're probably laughing to yourself saying, thanks be to God, that twisted thing finally found his way to the self-help section. But it got me to thinking. The truth is, we all need a little help. And not just self-help, but you might say other help. One of the books that I curled up with on the floor of the Atlantic bookstore was a book on autism. These are people who have difficulty, in a sense, reaching outside of themselves. But the reason why I curled up with it was the title attracted me. The title of the book was Uniquely Human, a different way of seeing autism. And it got me to thinking about something that one of the sisters once told us in school, that in God's grammar, there are no common nouns, there are only proper nouns. That we are, each one of us, a unique individual with unique needs. This was brought home to me a number of years ago here in Philadelphia. I was walking a friend of mine home after a Mass in downtown Philly, and without getting into the details, he had and has a body that is misshaped. He has a condition, and as a result, he walks with a cane. And as we were crossing, I think it was around 12th and Pine Street, and I was next to him, and he was walking with his cane. Those of you who are native Philadelphians, you'll recall that that's where the 23 line runs. In the old days, it was a trolley. It started in Chestnut Hill and went all the way down to South Philly. I think it still does, but it's a bus now. They had tarred over the trolley tracks. But at one point, the tar had worn away, and as we were crossing the street, his cane got caught in the track, and he began to fall. As he began to fall, I tried to stop him. from falling, and he took the cane as he was falling and he whacked me with it. He fell. When he fell, I sort of said to him when he finally hit the ground, why did you hit me? Actually, I did not say that. I was a little bit more colorful. But we're in church. My provincial may be listening to this, and I want Father Pieper possibly to invite me back. But essentially what I was asking was, why did you hit me? He didn't answer. For several minutes, we continued walking, and finally he turned to me and he said, Father. And that's how I knew I was in for it, because normally he would call me Mike. He said, Father, when somebody like me begins to fall, don't presume to know what I need. He said, I know how to fall. He said, by trying to stop me, you actually hurt me more than the fall itself. And then he repeated again, Father, when somebody like me needs help, ask, how can I help you? And I will tell you. Perhaps it's a little far-fetched, but I like to think that that's the kind of courtesy that God extends. I like to think that that's the kind of courtesy that Mary extends, that we're all unique individuals, and God and Mary want to know what we need. Mary wants to help. She's Our Lady of Perpetual Help. We might not know this, but this is not simply a title. This is actually a 15th century Byzantine icon or painting. And it's rather unique. And the reason why it's rather unique is that in this painting of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, St. Gabriel and St. Michael are imaged in the corners, holding the instruments of Jesus' suffering and death. Jesus is looking towards them, and according to the artists who are experts on this, Jesus is afraid because he knows what's going to happen. And in a beautiful detail, he has his right and his left hand wrapped around the thumb of Mary's right hand. And if you look closely, you can see the little sandal on his foot is dangling. And artists tend to interpret this as the outcome of Jesus' fear, that even as a child, Jesus had a sense of what was in his future. And still, he goes to Mary. Mary is there to help us in the midst of whatever it is that we experience in this life, especially when things sometimes get chaotic and a little bit out of hand. A number of years ago, a sister friend of mine put me on to a singer by the name of Nancy Lamott. She has a wonderful little song. I'm sure she's not the only one that sings it, but she's the only one I ever heard sing it. And it's simply called Help Is on the Way. And I just want to share a little bit of the lyrics from it. Don't give up the ship, even when you feel it sinking and you don't know what to do. Don't give up your dreams, even though you may be thinking it never will come true. Life has its own ideas of how things come about, and if you just hang in there, life is going to work it out. But the refrain is, help is on the way, from places you don't know about today, from friends you may not have met yet. Believe me when I say I know help is on the way. As the Book of Wisdom says, and as the famous theologian Elizabeth Johnson says, the saints, especially Mary, is one of the friends of God and a prophet. Mary is Our Lady of perpetual help. Whenever Mary is around, help is not far off.